Hello! Welcome to the Dom and Slevs show for another week. I'm Dom Hennequin.
And I'm Slevs.
Just Slevs.
Yeah.
Just Slevs. That's it. We've got a great show coming up for you today. We've got so much news to talk about, including Karl Stefanovic's really awkward interview with Barbra Streisand, which has now been erased from the internet.
That man needs to be
well-
erased from reality.
Well, I have not been able to see this interview because they've actually taken it off the Today Show site. But we're going to talk about what allegedly was said in the interview. It's pretty bad. Plus, Dr. Zhivago and King Kong are apparently on their way to Broadway. They originated here in Melbourne, so that's pretty exciting. We're going to talk about that. Plus, the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus came out, and Apple Watch, they've all been announced at this week's Apple event. We're going to talk a little bit about that and what Apple means to us all.
Meanwhile, I'm using a 3.
Maybe it's time. It's time.
It is time.
I feel like it's time for you to upgrade. We've got some great stuff in Shut It Down. And I've also got a review of Kanye West's performance here in Melbourne this week. But that's all coming up on the Dom and Slevs show. Let's get straight into the news. Well, first up today, Dr. Zhivago, which came to Melbourne a few years ago. Was it 2010 or 2011?
Yeah, around that time, yeah.
Yeah, with Anthony Warlow. It was written for him. Apparently, it's going to be moving to Broadway in a new production with a new cast.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So, unfortunately, Anthony Warlow won't be in that production, but it's set to take the Broadway theatre, which is currently housing Cinderella, which has been going for quite some time.
It has. It's done very well.
Yeah, but I think now, just recently, Sherry Shepherd has joined the cast of that one. So it'd be interesting to see how that finishes up. But yeah, it's been there for a little while. What do you think of this Zhivago move? Because did you see it when it was here?
No, I missed it when it was here, but the Lucy Simon that wrote the music for it also wrote The Secret Garden, which I've seen stage versions of.
Yeah.
And I've heard a bit of the music from this show, and it'll be interesting to see what happens depending on who they cast. Like, if they're going to cast big names or, because being that the role is sort of made for someone who's a little bit older. But it will be interesting because it's a very, obviously the movie, which came out in the 60s, is like this epic film.
Yeah.
It goes for like 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to get through, like, story-wise in a musical. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with this.
Did you enjoy the musical that was here? Like, the Zhivago, that version? Because do you reckon they'll rewrite it much?
Look, I
can't remember whether I just remember it was a bit... There was no song for Anthony Warlow. I think that's the thing for me. There was no big, like, this is the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, there was none of those.
Yeah, it was just kind of like... It was pretty samey all throughout. And I don't know. I don't know. It's just not one of those shows that, like, it can't not be turned into a musical.
Yeah.
Not like something so naturally sort of like oh God, like yes, this is ripe to be turned into song and dance. Just wasn't quite like that for me.
I mean, the story is it's a great novel, and like the movie was, the movie's a classic and that sort of thing. But yeah, musical wise, I don't know, because it's kind of,
I just thought it was a bit bland.
the material, is a little bit iffy.
Yeah, and it's not no kick lines or anything like that.
No, none of that.
It's not very showy. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, it's not showy.
Yeah, it's quite like deep.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, there is a place for those kind of shows, but I think
for sure.
with this, I mean, this, it's a bit like if somebody wanted to turn like War and Peace into a musical, like, which is,
it's just
another,
like
epic novel that's like a bit.
But it's just like, I think that like musicals like that should really be a play first and a musical second. Whereas in that case, as good of an actor as Warlow is, I just didn't feel like we were casting actors first and then singers second. It was kind of like musical theatre performers doing a play that has songs in them. So I feel like if you play it like that, then you're okay. After that, though, apparently there's talk of King Kong also taking that theatre after the run of Zhivago. Now, King Kong, when it was here, what's the news on that? Because I hear there's a lot of replacements.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on with that musical.
In the team there.
And I think hopefully it's all going to turn out for the best, because there was definitely changes needed.
Look at Kong. Look at him.
So
Welcome back. Welcome back, big boy.
Yeah, because obviously since it finished up here, and they talked straight away about, oh yeah, we're going to take this to Broadway.
Take it to Broadway. I was a bit like,
this big thing.
Are you?
But it's been kind of hanging around like a bad smell in New York for a while, and nothing's really happened.
Yeah.
But now the talk is Carmen Pavlovich, who's the main producer behind it, has recently announced that Marsha Norman has signed on to be the new book writer.
Who's she?
She wrote The Secret Garden and also Night Mother. She's won the Pulitzer Prize. She's a playwright.
Cool.
So let's hope that injects some good kind of...
What are you trying to say?
Good vibes.
Yeah.
The book was by far the worst thing about this musical.
Yeah, it was.
Sure, there was some terrible songs as well that really need to be chopped, but essentially the book was a big issue. So hopefully bringing someone like this in who's got some good cred and some behind her will be good. The previous book writer I think was Craig Lucas, who I know had worked with. I think he's worked with Baz Luhrmann over the years and things. But
right, it was very like the story was very. It just wasn't enough time. That's what I felt. I remember seeing like the King Kong movie. Like remember that one they brought out in like 2006.
The Peter Jackson film. Yeah,
and it was like it felt long. It felt really long. Whereas King Kong as a musical, like it was long, but it felt incomplete. Like the story felt incomplete. It was almost like the songs got in the way. The songs sort of like didn't move the action along. They kind of just made you take in each moment. And like it's just such a bad idea. Like having 5 different writers or whatever it is. Let's all write a different song for a different character. It's exactly what it felt like watching it. It was just like, I feel like 10 people have written this show and neither of you have been in the same room at the same time. That's sort of what it was like for me. So hopefully...
Fingers crossed. I mean, they haven't talked much about if they're going to make any sort of major changes to the music, the composers of the piece. Yeah. But I'm sure bringing in a new book writer and a new director will change things for that.
Because just having too many different like styles and songs and stuff like that was just made them all forgettable. Like I can't really, other than King Kong. King Kong. That's the only. That's the only thing I can remember.
It didn't ground it anywhere. Like it's supposed to be set like there was the world of 1930s New York as opposed to the world of Skull Island.
Yeah.
And they just, because there were all these mishmash kind of styles of music, it just didn't gel. But so at this point, that Marsha Norman's definitely signed on, and there's discussions being had with quite a few possible directors.
Yeah.
Joey Mantello, who directed the original production of Wicked, has done a B and Broadway shows.
Dogfight.
Yeah, he's done a lot of shows.
He's also won a Tony for acting as well.
Oh right.
Yeah, he's pretty amazing man.
And also Alex Timbers, who directed Rocky, which is on Broadway at the moment. They both, and he's going quite well. And there actually are some hidden gems on that soundtrack, I think. But anyway, and they both said no to the project though. And Sam Gold,
I love stories like that.
Director,
this person said no.
Said no.
So you know.
Sam Gold also had a meeting about it, but they're not expecting him to sign on. So at this point, they not sure where we're at with the director, but certainly Craig Lucas, who was the original book writer, and Daniel Kramer, who's the original director, are no longer involved in the project due to creative differences.
Yeah.
And what Carmen Pavlovich has said is that once they've found a new team, they'll assess whether or not, when they can get the show on.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if the only thing that we see carried over from the Melbourne production is the puppet. And that's it. So, yeah, watch this space, I guess.
It will be interesting.
Yeah. The iPhone came out. Well, it was announced earlier this week. And I don't know how many more times can we do this? That's sort of what I ask with the iPhone. Like, I'm excited about it. Like, I'm really excited about it. I think it's great. But it's just, I don't know, like every year there's a new one out.
Yeah.
And
there's always something.
Yeah. And of course, like every year it's the best thing ever. It's the best, you don't even know.
Everybody wants to get their hands on it.
Yeah. It's always like, if you thought last year's model was great, chuck it out. Because like, this is what we've been waiting for. This is the best iPhone that we've ever designed every year. But they've introduced as we can see here on our new screen, the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, which is the bigger one that I think most people will get because it's a significant upgrade from the sizes of iPhones that we've had beforehand. But what was also the big thing that they sort of launched as well among other things, was Apple Pay. So you'll be able to pay, instead of using a credit card or tapping a credit card, you'll be able to pay with your phone sometime soon. And Apple, like, there's been heaps of those around already with Google Wallet and, I don't know, a couple of other companies, but they just haven't had any widespread adoption of the technology because, like, can you imagine how long it will take here in Melbourne, Australia, for places to adopt this? Like, there's still got places that don't even have PayPass yet. My card doesn't even have PayPass yet, but like the way Apple's thinking about this is that it will completely replace your wallet, and I think the way that they'll
That's
get
good
people,
for me.
yes, because you always use it. But I think the way that they'll get more people onto this is because people already have iTunes accounts, and so it's going to just be using that. So you don't have to make another account. It's a very secure. It's you've already got the iTunes account, and that's what they'll be using.
It's very clever and easy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think eventually we'll see more of it. But there's just like everywhere we go for dinner and stuff like that, it's cash though. Where it's like you can't split bills.
Cash only, or it's
like,
a minimum spend on card.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how, like, you know, you're going to be like, hi, can I pay on my phone? They're going to be like, hi, we don't even take card here. So that'll be interesting to see if that changes. And then one more thing, of course, was the Apple Watch. They didn't call it the iWatch, they called it the Apple Watch. So I think they're moving away from all that
the
stuff. But I thought, and so yeah, it's going to be amazing. There's 3 versions of it. There's the general edition of it, there's the sport edition of it, and then there's the edition of it.
And what's the special thing about the watch?
The special thing about...
As opposed to a normal watch?
It's an Apple Watch, Slevs.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So let's move on. No, it's got a heart rate monitor on it, I believe. Okay. So there's all this fitness shit in there. The crown of the watch will be similar to what you used to do with the iPod. And be able to scroll through your apps without having necessarily to be touching and dirtying your screen. I just feel like we're moving like backwards in time with this technology, but like there you go. But the screen, the faces look really nice. The design actually looks really pretty. They've got heaps of bands to choose from as well, so, and they look really good quality. And then the edition of the watches has got like some white gold.
Okay,
so
right.
it's like made of like part gold. So anyway, well, I'm sure we'll see more of that. They're not coming out until next year though. So they were announced, but we won't actually physically see them until next year. So I don't know. We won't see them on everybody straight away, but I feel like there was a good article in in New York Magazine yesterday, sort of going like, you'll think everyone's an idiot for having it, and you'll be like, what's that? What are you wearing? What? But then slowly over time, you know, by the 2nd or 3rd edition of it, you're going to be like, oh, I'll just get it. It's like with the iPhones, you know, nobody needs an iPhone, but here we all are with iPhones. But the funniest thing about this launch, though, would have to be that... So YouTube, YouTube, released... I'm a secret YouTube fan. It's ridiculous.
I really like
I'm like
YouTube's music.
Like ashamed, but like I like it. But they released a new album, and they released it as a gift to all of you Apple subscribers out there. They, if you have an iTunes account, look in your purchases because you've got a free U2 album. Oh my god! And it's courtesy of the Dom and Slevs show. Look in your purchases. There's a free album.
Under your chair.
Have a look. It's by U2. And now to say thank you, it's U2. This week at Banner, The Edge. No, I'm sorry. It's not from us. It's from Apple and U2. And a lot of people are not happy about it. Apparently all these young people. It went out to like something like, you know, there's 800 million iTunes accounts out there, but it would, people-wise, it went out to about 500 million people. And some people with their automatic, these are younger people we're talking about here, with their automatic downloads on, have gone into their iTunes libraries and gone, what the fuck is, like, who is this? What is this terrible music? Not fans, don't know who U2 are because they're too young. U2 have been associated with Apple since about 2003 or something like that. With their like, remember that album with like Vertigo on it? Hello, hello.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hola, another place called Vertigo. That was like, you know, iPod's heyday, iTunes' heyday. They were a big part of sort of launching that with Apple. So they were one of Steve Jobs' favourite band. But I just find it funny because, yeah, they brought them back for this like big moment of like a new product category. Being like,
people just complain.
the iWatch, everybody. And to celebrate, it's your turn, Tim Cook. Anyway, and so it's kind of like Apple trying to be, Apple's musical tastes have not really moved on. Yeah. Like their products have. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people really did not enjoy that gift, but I just found that really funny.
Well, I know someone, a friend of ours, posted something on Facebook about it.
Oh my goodness.
Saying that that Apple forced me to download a YouTube album, and then they received a text from their from Optus to say that they were over their data usage limit for the month.
Lol. Well, there you go. Thanks, U2. Yeah. Thanks, Apple. I'm buying your new phone now.
Reassess.
All right, we're running out of time. We've quickly got to go over this Barbra Streisand story.
Yes.
So she is all over the shop at the moment. I'm not sure what she's shopping around. I mean, I don't know when that bloody Gypsy movie is coming out.
Who knows when that's happening.
Get it together. But a couple of stories about her today. The first one I want to start off with, though, is that Karl Stefanovic, our Karl, as they call him, the Today Show, the Australian Today Show, have been in the US all week. But because I don't wake up early, I've not really seen any of it. But on Tuesday, they interviewed Barbra Streisand. Karl Stefanovic interviewed Barbra Streisand. And earlier today, we were trying to look for the video of it, and only to find that all internet presence of this video has been deleted. It's been wiped away by the Today Show itself. So I came across an article in the Herald Sun or something like that, saying that, in news.com.au, that Karl's interview was widely panned because it was the most cringeworthy thing ever. Surprise!
Isn't every interview he does like the same?
Exactly. Apparently, he asked Barbra, he sung to her. He sung to her some lines from one of her hits called "Guilty." Sung to her a little bit of that, and then in the middle of it said, "Oh, this is very embarrassing." And her response was, "Yes. Don't give up your day job," she said to him, which I just adore. But yeah, Channel 9 they've actually deleted all presence of this. And apparently he commented on some see-through dress that she wore in the 70s. I don't even know. She's a living legend, Karl. How dare you?
Get it together.
Get it together. But in other news...
I have no words for you.
In other news, though, other than Karl being his typical self, Babs will be showing up again very soon. She'll be showing up on the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. She's going to be on the Tonight Show for the first time in 50 years. I thought I misread this. In 50 years. It really just, like...
How old is this woman?
It really just, like, makes you realise... She's old.
She is old.
She's in her 70s now, is that right?
Yeah.
She's an old bag. She's been around for so long. I think I forget that because it just, looking at her, you know she's oldish, but you can't quite really tell what planet she's from, let alone how old she is. But she's old. So, but that's kind of cool. So she's going to be on The Tonight Show very soon, which is kind of awesome.
She's 72. There you go.
She's 72. Oh, Babs. And finally, the last one, let's quickly do this. Now, earlier this week, after the sad death of Joan Rivers, following complications during a throat surgery, the Broadway community was they were in debate over whether to dim their lights out of respect for Joan Rivers. A lot of the Broadway League had said no, saying that she wasn't a big part of Broadway. She wasn't an Ethel Merman or a Patti LuPone or anything like that. But she did, however, She was nominated for a Tony Award at one point. She did write a couple of Broadway plays, and she appeared on Broadway a fair few times in her comedy act. So eventually the decision was reversed, and most theatres did dim their lights at the end of the day. But yeah, some sad news about Joan Rivers. We didn't really get to talk about it in the last episode. But yeah, she was 81, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, isn't that insane? She was still as feisty as ever.
She was. She was.
Anyway, that's the news for now. We'll be back with our review. It's the Dom and Slevs show. Welcome back. Cheers, Slevy. What are we drinking today? We're drinking...
Hey Shed Hill. It's from Margaret River.
Isn't that such a bogan, like, Hey Shed? The Hey Shed Hill. 2012. Vintage. Yeah, let's drink up. And it's time to drink up because it is time for my review. Now, this week, I went and saw Kanye West at Rod Laver Arena here in Melbourne. And I was really, really excited to see him. And to be honest, in short, he was really good. He was everything I thought he would be and more. But Kanye has this track record for stopping the show or stopping his interviews and just at any chance possible giving the world a lecture on what they should be doing.
Kanye knows best.
Yes, and this gig was a Kanye's knows best kind of special. It was pretty good throughout the entire thing. It's pretty artsy. He's got this sort of, it's big screen that's sort of in the shape of a wedge, sort of towards, what's that, upstage? Upstage, yeah. To use the technical term. It's an arena, I don't know. And then he's got this sort of like, this platform that sort of comes down and it goes into a pointy end as well. It's pretty cool. It's pretty simple. And then as he spends most of his time at the front of that, and the crowd are all around it. So it's pretty awesome. I was sitting in the seats, so I was sort of like glad to be out of the action, to be honest. Yeah. But it was pretty tame throughout the entire thing. And he comes out, and initially he's got this like bejeweled like mask on that he wears for like the opening few numbers, and then he takes it off at some point, and you can see it on the screens, and everyone's just like, wow, like, oh my god, like, it's Kanye. So he was pretty good, he was pretty awesome, and he sang a lot of songs from Yeezus, but yeah, all these greatest hits as well. But my god, like, just towards the end of it, and nobody knew what he was talking about. Like, some people knew, if you're like up to date with all the Kardashian news and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure something happened on that day or the day before. I don't know, it was probably like some paparazzo tried to take a photo of Kim and North, their kid, Northwest. Yeah, or something like that. And he was basically saying like an FU to that person, but he was not being very specific about it. He was just going to that. And to all y'all who know, you know who you are, F you, man, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, what? Like, do I need to Google this? Like, what, should I get my phone out? Like, what's going on? But that was all cool, and he got through most of it. But it wasn't until, like the fake, like, leaving thing that all artists do, and I just get frustrated with it because they walk off and everything goes black, and it's kind of like, is that it? Is that it? And everyone starts going, Kanye, and he comes back out. I want to go home. Like, I'd work the next day.
I'm done with this.
Wrap it up. I'm sick of these artists. You came on late as well. Like,
did he have an opening act?
He did, yeah. I missed most of it.
Oh.
It was fine. It was really loud, actually. The levels for the opening act were not very good. Yeah. But anyway, he spent the remainder of it. He sung a song. He sung Blood on the Leaves, which is my favourite, one of my favourites of his. He sung that again, though. He'd already sung it earlier in the night. So he came back on stage to this song. And I was like, oh, like...
Reprise.
Oh, yeah, reprise. Are we doing... Yeah, is this like the happy version of it? And then he stopped. He stopped like halfway through the song and gave a bit of a lecture about rap music and then started again. And he kept saying to the guys in the mosh, he said, make the circle bigger. He was like, make the circle bigger. Make the circle bigger, y'all. Let's start this one again. And he started it again. And then he stopped it again. Like, he got a bit further into the song this time, so he got about almost to the end, and then he went, nah, gave another little speech. Make the circle bigger, make the circle bigger. So these people like spreading out, and he wanted everyone to like, you know, once the song starts, just push, you know, like mosh like crazy. And they were moshing like crazy, and it just was not good enough for Kanye. So then he went to the next song, finally, after like 3 shots of getting through blood on the leaves. And I can't remember even what song it was. And he started it like 5 more times. It was just like... And then finally at the end, he just walked off. Like at the end of the song. And everyone was like, woo! And then like the lights came on and it was time to go. So I just don't... Like, it's everything I thought it would be and more. Did I enjoy it? I don't know. Are you meant to enjoy it? Isn't that the whole thing with Kanye? It's like, doesn't matter if you enjoy it. This is art. This is me. This is what I'm about. I don't know, to tell you the truth. But it happened. I saw him, and I wouldn't change that for the world. So that's my review, Slevy. That's my review of Kanye. Yeah. We're going to be back with Shut It Down. Welcome to Shut It Down. This is the point of the show, the pinnacle, if you will, of Dom and Slevs every week. And this week, we've got a good one.
We do.
Don't you just love a comeback, Slevs?
When it's warranted.
When it's warranted. I love a good
often
comeback.
It's not.
I love a good comeback. And lately, what we have seen is the coming backs, if you will, of a slew of 90s. And this week, we've got a brand new one for you. We've got none other than...
she's in an office.
Yeah, she's probably done that in her life before, hasn't she?
I'm sure.
Yeah. It is none other than Hilary Duff. Remember
Lizzie
her?
McGuire.
It's Lizzie McGuire.
So Disney princess. Oh no, she wasn't a princess, but Disney child star.
I just like... Where's she been? What's she done? What's she been doing?
Well... So, of course, she first started out as Lizzie in the early 2000s. And she released a few albums of manufactured, you know, generic pop music. Meanwhile, you know, she dated Joel Madden, and there was like a 10-year gap between them.
Joel Madden.
Yeah, he was 25 and she was 16.
Yeah.
Then she got married to some Canadian sports player of some description. And they had a kid. This was a couple of years ago. So she's a mum now. Her son's, I think it's her son, it's 2 years old. And she's back in a big way. Big way.
She's back, baby.
She's back with music. She's coming back to TV screens.
In what?
In a new TV sitcom called Younger, which has been written by Darren Star, who wrote Sex and the City. And it's also starring Sutton Foster as a 40-year-old divorced single mum.
Oh, Sutton. She'll probably win a Tony for it, even though it's not bloody on Broadway.
And Hilary's in it as well. And that's coming to screens next year. So she's all back, and she's all over radio at the moment, and in Australia in particular, she's been everywhere.
The thing that I had to ask, is, could she ever sing? Because I was watching this is her new music video, and I was just kind of like
what's she doing? She's chasing the sun.
She says it like 4 times every
Just in case you missed it.
And I was just like, but just this like 90s, like, I don't think people could sing in the 90s. Do you remember, like, like Britney Spears, Madonna, like, came back, like, in the 90s. She can't sing. Hilary Duff, like, all these people, like, not really singers, let's be honest. I feel like all you had to do in the 90s was, like, look hot, be really virginal, and, like, and be able to, like, make, speak in tune. And do a bit
of vocal ranges, I think, were about this big.
Chasing the sun.
And the thing is, like, there's heaps of them. These, like, late 90s, early noughties pop.
Who else can you think of? Because, like, there's
Britney Spears has attempted multiple comebacks.
She needs to stop. We were playing. I saw like one of her comeback concerts from like a couple of years ago. on the TV
Isn't it
the other
something
day.
else?
You know, when she like, after she got fat, remember when she got fat? And then she like pulled it together again and like got a lot thinner again. And then at these concerts, she's doing her old like, I feel like girls used to dance a lot in their underwear, like in the 90s, like way more, like literally like, not kind of like, you know, in your face kind of sexy Ariana Grande kind of, or Nicki Minaj underwear of today. Sort of like a, look, I'm in my PJs kind of underwear kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of uncomfortable. Kind of like you're 6 and you're in your underwear on stage. And she, like, all well and good that, you know, you pulled your weight and your life back together, Brittany. But still, after you've had a kid, I just feel like there was some other work that could have been, like, it was just kind of uncomfortable. It was kind of like, I feel like you're at the age now where you can no longer wear the strapless bra and do some weird, like, dancing and some singing.
And Christina was the same when she came. And she came back. She was still carrying, you know, some baby weight. And it was a bit like, you are a mum now.
Yeah.
And you need to stop.
It's not about like, you know, you should lose the weight. It's just literally like, why don't you accept your age and where you are and just accept that like, this is a little uncomfortable now for you to be doing, like, shut it down. Like, actually shut down the...
And the fans that you had
are older
are
as well.
older now.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get a new generation of fans because they've, you know, they're interested in the
Ariana Grande.
whatever her name is.
Yeah.
And your Demi Lovato's and whatever.
Yeah. Let it go!
They're not going to go for you again, so...
You've got to hand it to Brittany, though. I feel like she's the one. I feel like she's the one who has had more chances than, like, she should have had.
I think she's had far more chances, and she has pulled it off far more successfully than the others. Christina, no.
Because, like, Hilary fell off the map, though. Like, once she had that baby, it was just like, okay, bye.
Bye.
Like, she didn't
See
go,
you
like...
in a couple of years.
Yeah. When I'm poor again.
Yeah.
But as it's
my husband and I split.
Yeah, she split up from her husband, so that's why we're seeing her back. I find that really interesting.
But yeah, I certainly agree that Britney's been the most successful, like, out of all of them. Lindsay Lohan, absolute wreck.
Lindsay Lohan.
Trash bag.
But it's just a joke now.
Never...
Like, I watched some of that Oprah series that she did. If you haven't seen it, it is
It's worth watching.
It's pretty boring, actually. I watched a couple of episodes, though, and just, what happened to your voice? Like, you know, this, like, nobody understands me kind of thing, that whole thing. It's like, when did your voice get,
just
like, so
too much
husky?
Of this, too much of this.
So much of... Yeah.
Too much of this.
So, too much of this. Yeah, she smokes every 5 seconds on that show. And it's just kind of like how many chances can that girl get and still fuck it up? Like, really, Lindsay Lohan has had a red hot go.
She has. She has.
And she screwed it up every time. But it's just so funny, the confessionals in that show. Because it's just like simple things like, you're fired because you didn't rock up. And then it cuts to like a confessional kind of like nobody understands, like, nobody understands that, like, I need, like, a perfect environment if I'm gonna show up. Like, why doesn't he understand that? He's being, like, completely unreasonable to me, like, he's being mean, and then, like, you know, it's documentary style, so the next minute it's got, like, text on the screen saying, and after that, Lindsay quit the job she'd had for one day. And then Oprah sits down with her and it's just like, girl, you gotta get, you too! No, you gotta get your shit together. And she's like, I know, yeah, I'm gonna get it together. I'm gonna get it. And there's tears and there's hugs and then she fucks it up again. It's delicious. Watch it. But Hilary, good luck to you. I hope this show,
well, it'll be interesting.
Goes well. How can it not?
I think the sitcoms, though, like, you know, how successful are sitcom-style shows these days?
There's just
It'll be
too
interesting.
many.
Like, the cast is not bad. I mean, Hilary Duff's not an actress, but, like, Sutton
But
Foster...
what is she, though? That's
She's
the
not
thing.
really an
These
actress.
90s
She's
people,
not really a
what
singer.
do you do? Like, Lindsay Lohan, you're an actress, and then you did a bit of singing. And now you can't do, like, either of them.
She wasn't good at either.
The people that survive at it are either, like, Britney, where it's just pure luck, or people that it's just, like, we discover later on in their careers are just, like,
And
you
Britney
actually
survived
are a
because
really
she's
good
gone
actress.
on that whole trajectory that Madonna went on and that Gaga goes
Just
on.
reinventing
Reinvention.
themselves.
Reinvention. Christina tried to reinvent herself.
Didn't
Didn't really go anywhere.
She can reinvent herself however she wants, but at the end of the day,
It's
you're going to
still-
hear a bit of wow, and you're going to
It's
know
still
that it's her. That's the funny thing about Christina. It's like, you can wear whatever you want, But as once you pick up that belty bit in every single song, say something, why are you in this song? Why are you there? It's a quiet song. Why are you yelling?
Yeah.
You're ruining the song. Yeah.
Be quiet when you need to be quiet.
Exactly. And a lesson there for Hilary. But good luck to you, babe. That was Shut It Down. Well, that's it for another Dom and Slevs show for this week. Thanks for joining us today. We've had a jam-packed show today, haven't we, Slevs?
We have.
So much to talk about. And in honour of Barbra Streisand returning to late night for the first time in 50 years, we're going to sing a classic Babs track.
All right.
We hope you know what this one is. We'll see you next week. Ready, Slevs?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Don't tell me not to live, just sit and potter. Life's candy and the sun's a bowl of butter. Don't bring around the cloud to rain on my parade.
Don't tell me not to fly, I'm simply good to. If someone takes a spill, it's me and not you. Who told you you're allowed to rain on my parade?
I'll march my band out, I'll beat my drum.
If I'm fanned down, your turn at bat, sir. I guess I didn't make it, sir. I guess I didn't make it.
But whether I'm a rose of sheer perfection, a freckle on the nose of life's complexion, a cinder or a shining apple of its eye,
I gotta fly once, I gotta try once, only can die once, right, sir? Oh, life is juicy, juicy, and you'll see I gotta have my way, sir.
Get ready for me, love, 'cause I'm a comer. I've simply gotta much, my heart's a drummer. Who told you're allowed to rain on my parade? Isn't that my Babs?
I'm gonna live and live now. Get what I want, I know how. One roll for the whole shebang. One roll, that bell will go clang. I own the target and wham. One shot, one gunshot, and bam!
Hey there, Mr. Eisen. There's like 6 lyrics to this. Here I am. How much my band out. I'll beat my drum. And if I'm fanned out, your turn at bat, sir. At least I didn't fake it, hat, sir. I guess I didn't make it. Get ready for me, love, 'cause I'm a comer. I've simply gotta march, my heart's a drum, and nobody, nobody is gonna rain on my parade. We love you, Babs. See you next week. What the fuck was that? I'm out.
I'm sick of this.